What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody's having a freaking awesome week so far. If you're new to the channel, consider liking, subscribing, all that good stuff the booktubers tell you to do. Also, don't forget that y'all can join the Discord. It's absolutely free. You can meet all kinds of like-minded people and have tons of cool conversations, get advice, etc. So before we get into today's video, I want to tell you guys a quick little story about the PC that we're going to be taking a look at today, because this one is very, very special. So about a year ago, I built this really unique gaming PC around a ZOTAC Mining Motherboard. It was paired with an i5-7400 and I believe it was a 3070 Ti GPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and an SSD. So the PC performed really well, but at the time, I only had maybe 300-400 subscribers, so the channel was relatively new. At that time, I was just working with what I had, and the plan was to either give this PC away or sell it, and unfortunately, nobody showed any interest in this thing. So it's literally been sitting around for the better part of, I would say, close to a year now. So after sitting around for a while, I ended up pulling the RAM, the power supply, graphics card, and storage out of it to use in other builds, and this thing it got shoved into storage where it's been collecting dust ever since. So we fast forward to today, and someone over the Discord reminded me this thing even existed and asked if I'd ever bring it back. And I was like, you know what? I think it might be a good idea to go ahead and bring this thing back. So today we're going to rebuild this forgotten PC, breathe some life back into it, hopefully, and see if this old mining motherboard still has what it takes in 2026. So we are going to be doing some upgrades to this thing. I'm going to be adding a new CPU, different RAM, different GPU, and a new power supply. This one's definitely going to be fun, you guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we got this thing on the operating table, and with that we can actually get a nice, good, close look at the heart of our build here. So, as previously stated, this is a ZOTAC B150 Mining Motherboard, and as the name suggests, it was originally designed for cryptocurrency, or mining, not gaming. When it comes to the whole crypto thing, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I know that this is definitely not meant to be a gaming build. But we're definitely going to try. It's going to be fun. So the biggest giveaway is the 7 PCIe slots. Instead of running one graphics card like a normal gaming PC, this board was essentially built to run multiple GPUs through riser cables for mining cryptocurrency. And you can see them right here. Now, just because it's a mining motherboard doesn't mean it's bad for gaming. Under the hood, it still supports Intel 6th and 7th gen processors on the LGA 1151 socket, and I believe it's up to 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. It does have gigabit Ethernet, and it even has onboard HDMI if you're using a processor with integrated graphics. So where this board starts to show its limitations is expandability. You're limited to 65 watt CPUs. Memory tops out at 32 gigs and 2400 megahertz, and because it was designed around mining, you don't get all the extra features you'd typically find on a higher end gaming motherboard. But with that being said, if your goal is to do like 1080p gaming, this would work perfectly fine. So I think that'll be perfectly suitable for what we're going to be doing today. So with that being said, let's go ahead, let's take a look at some of the upgrades that we plan on putting in this old gal. Alright, so these are the upgrades that we're going to be going with here, you guys. First up, we have 6 120mm RGB EVGA fans. I've used these in several builds before, and they are super reliable. We have 2 RGB strips to go along with it, and then our remote control. I do plan on using the green color for these to put a little bit of emphasis on the green trim on our PC. Next up, we have an EVGA 650 watt SuperNOVA PSU. This thing is an absolute animal. Next up, we have Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. Then we have 2 SSDs. We have a Samsung Evo 250 gig SSD for our operating system, and then we have a Dado 500 gig SSD for our games. Next up, we have an i7 7700. I think this is going to be absolutely perfect for this build. And then, last but not least, we have a GTX 1070 Founders Edition. This is an 8 gig card, and this is going to complement the system perfectly. So with that being said, let's get this PC laid down on the operating table. Let's start cleaning this thing out and getting this stuff installed. Alright, you guys, so I got you all nice and set up here. We have our PC laid down on the operating table. First things first, we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this fan off, we're going to get the cooler off, we're going to pull this rear exhaust fan off since it's going to be replaced. We also have a fan up front that's also going to be going. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to leave the motherboard in here. I did pull off the rear panel behind our motherboard here, and it was extremely clean back there, so I decided just to go ahead and leave the motherboard in here. So let's go ahead, let's start tearing this thing apart. Alright, so we got our cooler off here, and as you can see, this thing is pretty much dust free. This should be able to cool up to, I believe it's 75 or 85 watts. So this should definitely be perfect for what we plan on doing. All right, next up, let's get our CPU out of here. And there's our CPU. Out with the old, in with the new. All right, so here is our i7. All right, next up, let's get some thermal paste on here. All right, I think that should do. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our cooler fan back on here. I'm going to actually put it on the other side here, otherwise it kind of blocks our RAM a little bit. All right, so from here on out, we're gonna go ahead and speed this up and just start getting this thing apart and back together. All right, so we got our exhaust fan off here. We got our CPU fan back on here. One quick thing to note is I did go ahead and dust this out and clean it out real quick just to save you guys the boring part. Let's keep on going. All right, so for the most part, I got all the fans installed. Unfortunately, I was able to do 3 in the case and 2 on the side panel. So we're gonna be rocking 5 fans. Let's keep on going. All right, so we got our PSU in. Off camera, I'm gonna go ahead and just route my cables real fast, get everything plugged in as far as I can, and then we will continue. All right, so we got our PSU successfully installed. We have our cables all nice and ran. Let's keep on going. Let's get the RAM installed. Let's get our GPU installed. Hell yeah, this thing is looking awesome so far. All right, so we're about as far as we can go on camera here. Off camera, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get our GPU plugged in, get everything else hooked up and ready to go. Before we actually get into the game testing and whatnot, we're gonna go ahead, boot into the BIOS and just make sure everything's running nice and cool. Depending on if this BIOS actually shows us our hardware monitor. Also make sure it's registering our RAM, etc. All right, you guys, we have this beast all back together and holy shit, this thing looks freaking amazing. This just brings back those old school 2014, 2015 vibes. I remember back in the day when if you had a case like this, you were balling, you know you had something good on the inside. But go ahead and take a look, you guys. She is looking fantastic. I did the best that I can do with the cable management, but it is what it is. To me, this thing looks freaking awesome. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna power this thing up real quick, and we're gonna take a look at how this thing looks, and then we will also be getting a visual of what it looks like with the panel on that also has some fans installed. All right, you guys, we got this thing all plugged in, ready to go. One thing that I have to be honest about is the fact that I have not even tested this thing since the start of the video. I have no idea if it still works, and you never know what happened between a year ago and now. So there's no guarantees, but fingers crossed, if you're watching this part of the video, it probably worked. Fingers crossed, come on. All right, we got power, let's freaking go. Look at those fans. These things look absolutely incredible. Oh, this looks so good. But do we get picture on the screen? Come on, we got picture on the screen. Let's go. Can we get into the BIOS? And there you have it. We are into the BIOS. Let's freaking go. I'm so stoked that this thing still works. So there is our i7 7700. We have our 16 gigs of RAM. Let's see what our temps look like. All right, so taking a look at our temps here, we are running pretty warm, especially for being in the BIOS. We are at 47C. So if I have to, I will definitely add another fan, but we're gonna get into the benchmarks here and see what kind of temps we get, how the PC sets. But this is definitely not a temperature that you wanna see when you're just sitting in the BIOS. That's definitely quite toasty. So when I come back, we're gonna have a shit ton of games installed, but before that, we're actually gonna take a look at this thing with the side panel on. All right, you guys, we have this thing all in one piece. We have our side panel on. I just wanted to give you guys a quick look as to what this thing looks like all in one piece. Sitting how she is, she looks so freaking good. Powered on with the green fans, it's probably gonna look even better. Let's go. All right, we got power right away. We got picture on the screen, and it is loading into our operating system just that fast, but check this out. This thing looks so freaking good. Let's go. This system is an absolute animal. I cannot wait to see what this thing can do. So when I come back, I'm going to have a crap ton of games installed on this thing. We are definitely going to put this thing through the ringer and see what this old girl can do. Alright you guys, so jumping into our first game, we are in a game called Mamba Zoo, and this is a game that I had featured when I originally did this build using the i5 and the 3070 Ti. Now, one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is we have way more stable frame rates here. We're chilling at almost 100 FPS, sometimes over 100 FPS. So far, the game is running absolutely freaking fantastic. So our CPU is chilling right around 50C. Despite what we saw in the BIOS, it does not really seem to transcend into gaming here because, again, we're chilling right around 50, maybe 60C at peak. We have around 60 to 70% utilization, drawing nearly 40 watts. Our GPU is chilling right around 70C with around 60% utilization, drawing right around 100 watts. So the real test is this area over here that I'm going to show you guys, and that's because I have this area just overloaded with a bunch of just crap. Now, when I did test in the previous video, we dipped all the way down into the 20s. We're hanging out right around 40 FPS, so huge performance gain with this i7. Absolutely fantastic. Gonna call this one an absolute win. Definitely playable. Let's go ahead and move on to our next game. So jumping into game number 2, we are into Valheim, and just like I did in the previous video with this PC, I started off in my base. We were getting right around 90 FPS, and look at the FPS gain that we were getting. We were chilling at nearly 120 FPS, sometimes higher than the 120. So since then, I've definitely added quite a bit more to the base, and that's gonna definitely add on to the load on our GPU and CPU. But this thing, again, it's just not faltering. It is running absolutely perfect. This is all high settings, and on our previous game as well, that was also all high settings. So definitely impressive at how well this system is running. It just goes to show that just because you have a more powerful GPU does not mean you're going to get better performance if you don't have the right CPU to match it. So there was definitely a huge bottleneck with that old i5 and the 3070, but this i7 paired with this 1070 it's a phenomenal pairing, and the frame rates are way more steady, 100% playable. So getting out into the world here, we can see that we're still running amazing frame rates. We're chilling nearly 100 FPS, actually over 100 FPS. Our CPU is chilling right around 40C with around 30 to 40% utilization, drawn right around 20 watts. Our GPU is chilling right around 65C with 100% utilization at times, drawn sometimes 100 watts, sometimes 150 watts. So it kind of depends on the area that you're in. Absolutely playable. This is an absolute win. Let's go ahead and move on to game number 3. Alright, so moving on to game number 3, and this is another game that I had tested on this PC previously. I'm actually seeing that we're not performing as well as the previous test with the i5 and the 3070. So this game is a little bit more GPU intensive, so that would kind of explain that. But we're chilling over 100 FPS. We're at all max ultra settings, and the game looks fantastic. No lagging, no stuttering, no hitching, no issues. We are next to a very large station right here that you can clearly see, and that might be contributing to our FPS drop a little bit, but the game it's running absolutely fantastic. So just like in the last video when I did this PC, we're going to go ahead, we're going to warp to sun real quick and go ahead and see what that looks like and see if we can maintain the same or better frame rates. Alright, so getting away from our station and orbiting the sun here, we can see that we actually have quite the FPS gain here. We're chilling right around 140 to 150 FPS, and again, the game is running absolutely freaking phenomenal. So our CPU is chilling anywhere from 40 to 50C. We're getting right around 40% utilization, drawn right around 20 watts. Our GPU is chilling right around 63C with 100% utilization, drawn right around 140 watts. I would definitely call this one a win. You can absolutely play the crap out of this game on here with no complaints. Let's go ahead and move on to some AAA titles. So moving on to a much more demanding title, we are into Arc Raiders, and we are met with a pleasant 90 to 100 FPS. The game is running absolutely perfect, no lagging, no hitching, no stuttering. It plays. This system is an absolute freaking beast. So our CPU is chilling right around 50C with, I would say, anywhere from 80 to 90% utilization, drawn nearly 40 watts. Our GPU is showing right around 55C with about 80% utilization, drawn right around 120 watts. So we have a slight bottleneck here, but nothing that would inhibit your ability to be able to play this game. This is a mixture of medium and high settings, and this is a phenomenal result for a system of its age. Let's go ahead and move on to our next game. So moving on to our next game, we are into Cyberpunk 2077. This is a mixture of medium and high settings, and we are met with a pleasant 60 to 70 FPS. There's no lagging, stuttering, hitching, no issues whatsoever. The game is running perfect, 100% playable so far. So our CPU is showing right around 50C with around 90% utilization, drawn right around 40 watts. Our GPU is showing right around 60C with nearly 100% utilization, drawn anywhere from 120 to 140 watts, depending on the area on the map that we're in. I would definitely, absolutely, 100% call this a win. This game is absolutely playable. I cannot imagine anybody complaining about a system like this, especially being able to run AAA titles like this. Absolutely insane results so far. Let's go ahead and check out another game. So moving on to game number 6, we are in Elden Ring, and right off the bat, we are met with a pleasant 60 FPS. The game is running absolutely freaking perfect. This is a mixture of medium and high settings, and again, this system just does not falter. It just keeps on chugging along. So our CPU is chilling right around 50C with around 70% utilization, drawn right around 30 watts. Our GPU is chilling right around 50C with around 60% utilization, drawn maybe anywhere from 100 to 120 watts. This system it blows my mind. It runs so good, and not to mention the airflow on this case allows it to run super cool. What a phenomenal experience so far. Let's go ahead and check out one last game. So jumping into our last game here, and this one's kind of just for funsies. I wanted to, despite how much I'm talking up this system, show you the limitations of an older system like this, and it's quite unfortunate. So we are in a game called Monster Hunter Wilds, and I have all the settings turned down as low as they can go. The game honestly looks terrible, but I just wanted to showcase the fact that this definitely does have its limitations. So we are at all very low settings, as low as you can get them, and we are barely touching 30 FPS here and there. This is definitely, I would not call this playable whatsoever. Our CPU is chilling right around 40C with 70% utilization, and it's drawn right around, I would say, anywhere from 10 to 15 watts. Our GPU is chilling right around 50C with 100% utilization, drawn anywhere from 60 to 80 watts. Actually, we just peaked at 90 right there, so I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, with older systems like this, you're definitely going to hit a cap at some point, and this is definitely one of those games that will tell you what you can and cannot do. Despite that last game, this system is still a freaking beast. I am so impressed at how well this thing ran, and the number one thing that impressed me the most is the temperatures. This thing ran super cool. Definitely not a bad performer for its age. I am super happy. If you like content like this, consider liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good shit the BoobTubers tell you to do. Until the next one, you guys, I'll catch you next time. Stay freaking safe in the world.